responsibility, and attitude. Those are big words, aren't they?
Your car's right.
Yeah. What is respect? Anybody tell me what respect is? That's not respectful.
No, I don't like that.
Something that he doesn't like. Respect is when
Would Cindy please come to the nurse? Cindy, please come to the nurse, please.
respect is when somebody is talking, you're not. That's showing respect to that person. So when your teacher is talking to you, then you're not, or your, I don't know what your staff member is talking, you're not. Because that shows respect to that staff person. That's respect. Not taking other people's property, not touching other people, not talking about other people, not physically touching other people. That's all respect, not only for that person, but for yourself. That's respect. Responsibility. That's another one of those big words. What shows responsibility? Anybody give me an example of being responsible?
I don't know.
Taking a dog for a walk, making sure the leash is on, making sure you go where you're supposed to. That's being very responsible. Pets, taking care of your pets, making sure they have food, water, go to the bathroom outside if they need to. That's all showing responsibility. Oh, making sure you have a clean house. That is very much a responsibility. Making sure that you do your own dishes is a responsibility. Way in the back. Going to work and being on time. Being on time is very responsible. Shows responsibility. Not bothering other people at work while they're trying to work is being responsible and respectful. Those are two things that are. They both go hand in hand. What about attitude? Attitude has a lot to do with how we act during the day, doesn't it? If we have a bad attitude, then our day is pretty bad, isn't it? Yeah. If we go in with a good attitude, we usually normally have a pretty good day. And a positive attitude affects everybody around you. If you have a positive attitude, it kind of spreads. It kind of goes to your neighbors, and everybody around you becomes positive. And we want to be around positive people. So you want to try to get that positive attitude. And that brings up another subject that I wanted to cover. We're going to cover this subject right now. Positive attitude changes everything. Keep pace. We're going to hear a lot about keeping pace. Positive attitudes. Because that has a lot to do with, well, that's physical. If you're fighting with somebody, that's being physical. Calling somebody a name. If you don't like the name, do you think that person you're calling is going to like that name?
No, ma'am.
No. They're not going to like it. What's another verbal bullying that we can do?
Getting slapped in the face by somebody?
That's physical.
Okay.
That's physical. Verbal.
My blower looked down.
That's verbal. That's verbal. Saying something that is going to cause somebody else not to have a positive attitude.
Telling someone that they're not as smart as you because they're not in the
Calling
same
people
group.
stupid.
Telling someone that they're not in the same group that you're in.
Right. Or calling them ugly.
Right.
Or telling them to hurry up when they're going as fast as they can anyhow.
Because we're all different. We all go at different paces, don't we? I have $5 here.
Me too.
Oh, okay, give me.
Who would like my $5 bill?
I like $5.
I will tell you.
That's attention.
Somebody in this room at the end of the second session tomorrow, I will give this $5 bill to you.
Okay.
But there is a catch.
Oh no.
There is a catch. Well, you got to listen to me for 2 hours. 2, I'm going to give you some homework tonight that you can kind of go over and do it.
I'm doing it right now.
Gather them up tomorrow, and that might be how I'm going to get that $5. going to talk about this $5 bill.
Not bad, Dad.
Okay, so I'm going to put this $5 bill right here on the table, to show you that it's still there. It's not there today.
I'm going to walk up and grab it.
Let's talk a little about bullying. Okay, I have a short video I want to show you.
I'm also excited.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. Well, yeah. Gloves.
Would you say it is verbal or physical harassment for that person?
First there is cyberbullying, and then there's physical bullying and verbal bullying.
What is bullying? Bullying can be a lot of different things. Bullying can be picking on people. Bullying can be putting somebody down. It can be basically what makes somebody feel less than what they are.
I think the biggest form of bullying, at least in our school and around, is definitely verbal bullying, or like emotional, where you're not just like going down the hall and pushing someone, but you like say something mean or you give them a dirty look or something. I think that's probably the biggest and the most that I've seen and experienced.
Bullying to me is when someone puts someone else down. Just whether it can be teasing, it can be by body language, it can be by ignorance. It's just by making someone else feel worse about themselves.
Bullying itself is something that is an issue in the fact that the victim himself is put down, feels like less of a person, maybe less of a person.
It's really like emotionally degrading, and it's violence on the scene.
Bullying affects me is because when you see someone else that's down or that's been bullied, it kind of just makes you feel down, and it kind of is like a chain reaction. It doesn't just affect one person. I guess you just don't realize what people are going through.
A lot of times during the day, I'll feel like I'm being bullied, and sometimes it's me, but sometimes it's just things that people say that they don't mean to be mean, but they sometimes are. And so it's made a huge difference in the way I think about myself.
I remember talking to a bunch of people, and they just told me about how hard their life is at that point in time, and how people just make it worse by saying mean things, or just little things can go a long ways negatively.
I am a lot younger than a lot of other people, and so I get a lot of crap about it. Half of it I know is just teasing, but a lot of it kind of bothers me sometimes.
When I first moved here, it was hard to move in. There was one or two kids that bullied me in 5th grade, and it actually made me not want to come to school. I wanted to move back to where I came from, and it really made school a miserable experience for me. And so I know what it feels like, and I don't want anyone else to ever have to feel like that. It's a terrible feeling.
I think just like by being a positive influence to everybody, and just being happy, I guess.
Basically, if you see it, stop it. Be that person who stands up to your friends and something wrong. Be the person who stands up for the victim.
I think that we can be a little more accepting towards other people and how they feel, and they just try to be
If you'll just look at someone and realize that they're probably at home, they probably have fights with their siblings, their parents might not be the best parents, or they may feel like they don't understand math, and they may feel like they're struggling in different ways in their life, and picture how you would feel in their shoes. Maybe you don't have a really cool car, or maybe you don't understand how to do English. Just put yourself in that person's shoes, and then the love for them will increase, and you'll be able to see things from that point of view, and the need for bullying will just be.
If you see someone being bullied, don't be afraid to put a stop to it. If you are being bullied, you are surrounded by people who care and are willing to help put a stop to it. As we unite as students of Morgan High, we can accomplish so much more. So take the pledge and unite.
It's a high school. They start growing out of it. They start doing other things. They want to be treated like adults. We're all adults here. We want to be treated like adults. And adults usually don't bully. They don't go through the bullying. They usually are past that. They're looking to make money. They're working. So if you're in the work program, you should be busy working. You're trying to make some money. You should have no time for that. You need to get past that. Because we're all different.
Train 3, please call 5194. Step Train 3, 5194.
I was called Stretch when I was in high school. Actually, junior high. I've been the same height since about 6th grade. And I was called Stretch because I played first base in our softball team, and I could stretch a mile. Back then, it bothered me. Now it doesn't bother me at all. But back then, it was important to me to be accepted. So now, it doesn't bother me. So some things that might have bothered us in the past, maybe we've outgrown that and it doesn't bother us anymore. But if somebody tells you, don't do that, it bothers me, then we should respect them and not do it. Because when you do it, all it's doing is making you look immature. It's making you look like you're still in high school. And we know none of you are still in high school. We know that you're out in the workforce. We know that you are adults. We need to work on that. And it's something we have to work on. It's something that sometimes doesn't come easy. Okay, and we're going to go right into my slideshow. Who are the bullies? We know we don't need to put names to people. We all know that they change. We know that maybe this week it's this person that's bullying and the next week it's somebody else. We all know that, so we don't need names. But I'm going to show you some of the tendencies that we see in people that bully. Hot-headed. That means that they have short tempers. Things set them off very quickly. Maybe they do things impulsively. Maybe they don't have that little mechanism that makes them hold back a little bit. Maybe they verbally say things without thinking first. We all need to work on watching what we say at times. Even me. I have to watch what I say at times. I have to think about it. Oh, we just had a little mishap with a cup again. And they like to be the head of the class. They like to be the dominant one. We all know people like that.
Yes. No.
Sometimes they frustrate easy. Sometimes when they're working and they can't get something right, and they get frustrated, they don't know how to take their frustrations out, so they take them out on somebody else.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just don't like people. I do.
Don't like.
It happens. You know, we don't have to like everybody. But that doesn't mean we pick on them. If we don't like them, we don't have to pick on them. That doesn't mean that our friends can't like them. That doesn't mean we exclude them for everything we do. That just means we don't personally like that person. That might not be our best buddy, but that doesn't mean that our friends can't have them as a friend. And we should never interfere with somebody else's friendship just because we don't like them. That's immature. That's something that we have to work on. How about following rules? You know, there's all kinds of rules. Everybody's got to follow. Can you imagine if there were no stop signs and we were driving down the street?
That would be bad.
And crashing in.
Oh, yeah. We have chaos.
Have crash.
You know, so there are rules that we have to follow. We have to be work on time. What happens if we're not at work on time? Maybe we're working in an assembly line, and if we're at the beginning of the assembly line and we're half an hour late,
Chaos.
what happens to everybody else in that assembly line? they don't get their work done. So that's why it's important that you be on time. That's a rule. You know, maybe not a rule that you like. Maybe it's a rule that's hard because you have to get up in the morning and you're tired. But it's still a rule. If you eat lunch at noon, they expect you to eat lunch at noon. If it's 20 after, you can't expect them to wait for you. That's a rule. So we all live by rules. We all do, even me. I can't just go out and arrest everybody because I want to. Oh, cool. I can't use my gun.
You can't use
I
your
have
gun.
rules for everything that I do. And I write constantly. I'm always doing constantly reports. That's part of my job.
And tickets too.
I can't just say I don't like you, so I'm going to give you a ticket. It doesn't work that way.
No.
It's when people break the rules,
Yes.
they have consequences. Consequences. Lunchtime's at noon at your work. You don't get in there till 20 after. The consequences, you only get 10 minutes to eat. You don't get the whole half hour, or you only get 40 minutes if you get an hour. They're not going to wait for you. You miss work, you don't get paid. That's a consequence for not being at work.
You keep paid in your side.
You pick on somebody. What should your consequence be?
I'm scared.
What's your consequence?
Shut up. It's my...
No.
But consequences. Maybe a consequence could be that you don't go on the next field trip.
Well, you could be on TV when you get home.
It's a consequence. You do an action, you do something that's not acceptable, you have a consequence. That's life. That's life. That is a rule. That's something that should be thought about. If you do something that is against another person, you strike another person, you hurt another person, sometimes the police get called. And there's consequences for when you go to the police station. Whether it be jail, whether it be going in front of a judge. Thought about it. If you do something that is against another person, you strike another person, you hurt another person, sometimes the police get called. And there's consequences for when you go to the police station. Whether it be jail, whether it be going in front of a judge, whether it be probation. Those are all things that can happen. Those are all things that can happen. So there's consequences to what you have. There are people out there that think violence is cool. And the only way violence is cool is if somebody else thinks it is. So if you see somebody getting shoved or hurt or smacked, and you think it's cool, you're his audience or her audience. So then he thinks he's cool, or she thinks she's cool, or she did. If nobody thinks it's cool, then it won't happen, because it's not cool.
Dark.
They want to be thought of as cool. Everybody wants to be thought of as cool. I like to be thought of as that kind of cool.
There's your finger. A good point.
We all like that, right?
Yeah.
That's right, that's the song of Puss in
Right. That's not cool. That's not cool.
And not laugh
And
behind
we
them
as
back.
a group, we as a group, we have a voice. We see something that happens, we don't have to be bystanders. We can say, that's not cool. That's not good.
No.
We don't have to validate what somebody does. And we can speak up and use that voice. That's not cool. It's not cool to hit somebody. It's not cool to call somebody gay or ugly or stupid. It's not cool.
No.
The only way you're going to stop that behavior is everybody tells that person that's doing this they're not cool. We'll stop. Okay?
That's right.
Let's test our bully knowledge. Now, I don't want you to tell me.
We already know that answer.
And I will tell you right now, everybody has done this at one time or another in their life. Even me. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. Am I proud of it?
Yeah.
No. But think about this, because this has consequences. Have you ever spread rumors? Have you ever called someone a bad name?
I should get this on film too.
No.
No, I have.
Maybe they called you that. Have you ever deliberately excluded somebody from a group or activity? Don't tell me because I know it happens. It happens in schools, it happens here. Have you ever used obscene gestures? We know the finger is a gesture.
Oh, that gesture. Oh, that gesture's plus. Gesture's plus.
When we get angry, if you use the bird,
I'm for Joel.
ready? How about, have you ever hit or shoved somebody? Get out of my way, I'm in a hurry. You're going too slow on the assembly line.
I used it for self-defense. Does that count? Does it count if it's self-defense?
That happens. Have you ever took something that belonged to somebody else? Their iPod, their phone, their lunch? Just because. How about, have you ever went on Facebook and wrote mean things about people?
No, not yet.
Never done that. Have you ever threatened somebody, either online or at work? I'm gonna shove your head down the toilet if you don't hurry up. I'm gonna push you and do it myself. Now, you know, all of us get angry at times, and all of us might say stuff, but when you start threatening somebody, have you ever been online and spread rumors even though they're not true? Oh, now come on,
She don't
man,
know.
all these no's,
Oh, yeah, she
but I'll
does.
tell you what, I go on Facebook, and I have friends that I just shake my head because they're adults, and they're acting like they're third graders.
Yeah, we can see that.
Acting like they're third graders. Not good. Spreading rumors is never good. Because you know what happens?
God, it's real dark.
When you spread a rumor and somebody finds out it's not true, what happens when you spread a rumor and it's not true and somebody finds out about it? You can get in trouble. What else happens? You lose respect.
Yeah.
That person who is spreading the rumor loses respect from everybody else because they spread the rumor. They lose that respect.
Nobody believes them anymore.
Nobody believes anything they say.
They go, yeah,
Because they spread a rumor that wasn't true. So they're not believed anymore. They could say everything they say from then on could be true, but people will remember the fact that you lied. Not a good thing. No. You may be a bully if you've done any of those things.
Mean bully?
If you spread
boy.
rumors, if you talk about people,
She said boy.
if you say you're going to take somebody's boyfriend or girlfriend,
That's a
if
bully.
you don't respect them at work,
You may be a bully.
there are consequences. And you know what? We have talked here before this class, we've talked to some of the staff, and we're going to maybe talk to some of the parents and some of the group homes about consequences. So what you do here at work and what you do here at the facility may have consequences when you go home.
That's dark.
We don't want to do that. I don't think anybody wants that to happen. So what can we do to stop that from happening?
Okay, she's over here.
What do you think we can do to stop that from happening? If you don't want consequences when you leave the facility because you did something here at the facility, like maybe at work, or maybe you called somebody a name, how can we stop that?
Being nice.
Being nice.
I'm being
What's
nice.
that word that says we got to keep pace? Positive attitudes. Attitudes. We've got to have that attitude.
Dark, dark, yeah.
Be appropriate.
Bullying is aggressive behavior. It's
Look
intentional.
at that.
If we say something and we mean it teasingly, you know, when you say, "Oh, I really like you, you're a sweetheart,"
okay,
is that
okay.
being a bully? No. Even though you might not like that person, they call you a sweetheart. But I tell you, buzz off, I'm gonna tell my friends that I don't like you and they're not gonna like you either. That becomes bullying. When you say, I don't like you, and I'm gonna tell all my friends not to talk to you, that's bullying.
Damn it.
That's intentional. That's because maybe you don't feel so good about yourself that day. Maybe you're not having that positive attitude. We talked about verbal and physical. 30%
That's
of
her,
other people,
not me.
30% of you in this room have been bullied at one time or another. At least 30%. Do you know, maybe not by somebody in this room. You might have been at the mall and they called you a nasty name. Get away from me, and they might have used some
how about with how about with cherry driven, and how about with and telephone with that? No, yes,
That's not fun. That's not good.
Has this happened to you? They should be on that court. One of the activities I'm going to give you to take home tonight talks about that. It kind of gives you a little bit of incentive too, of what you can do. Call the police. It's been done.
Yeah, it is.
It has been done for people in this room. If you're getting physically hurt,
No, not.
it's a crime. You are physically hurt. Somebody has punched, kicked, bit you, smacked you. That is a crime. You are not to touch another person. It is illegal for you to touch another person. Okay? Involve your friends. Remember we just talked about we're bigger in numbers? When somebody starts picking on somebody, if there's 3 or 4 of us that see it, if we go to that person that's being picked on and say, we're your friends, that bully's going to leave that person alone. Because that bully's no longer got that power. We don't want our bullies to have power.
Nope. Nope.
This is a statistic. This shows that out of people, 38% of people do nothing. 38 of you.
Yeah, that's true.
27 don't know what to do. Well, I've given you some tools of what you should do. You can go to a staff member. You can help the person that's being bullied. And one of the things that you can do if you're being bullied is to walk away. Just walk away.
That works too.
35% of you will help. Now, this is kind of what we already do. Boys usually bullied through physical fists, smacking,
I thought it was the opposite way.
where girls usually bullied through text messages and Facebook, spreading the rumors of social exclusion. Social exclusion means you don't want them in your group, so you tell everybody around you not to be friends with them. That's called social exclusion. Now, switch gears, I've got another video.
Ooh. Not that kind of video.
We have to press.
Yeah, Richard.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Spider nails.
God, here we go again.
Yeah, and nobody got suspended. Chris's body language seemed to make a big difference.
Chris was more confident. He walked it. He wasn't afraid. By walking with a purpose, Chris took control of the situation instead of letting Bruce have all the power.
That didn't stop Bruce from trying to pick a fight.
No, it didn't. But it stopped the fight from happening. Chris decided not to let Bruce push him around and not get drawn into a fight.
What would happen if Bruce started it anyway? He's pretty determined to bother Chris.
Let's take a look.
Uh-oh, you know money.
Can I help you? Either of you?
No, thanks, Mr. Katz. He let him right into the teacher's room.
That was quick thinking. Nothing confuses a bully like getting caught. Avoiding a bully altogether is one of the best ways to keep from having a direct confrontation.
But they do happen sometimes.
Bully in the future. Because today is the first day of the rest of your lives. You ever heard that? And you can turn over a new leaf. That's another one of them. So if you were a bully yesterday, you don't have to be a bully tomorrow. Positive attitudes change everything.
Sorry. Yeah.
Anyone can be a victim, but bullies prey on people they think are not the same as they are. And again, we talked about maybe you're out in public and somebody calls you a name because they don't know how to handle because you're different. We're all different. People follow the rules. They like to be part of a group. That's just human nature. But if you're a victim, being bullied could lead you to low self-esteem, not feeling good about yourself, and being fearful to even go to work. Positive attitudes. We talked about this. Peer mediation. Your friends might be the one that has to give you the consequences, along with staff members, along with parents. Your friends might be asked, what is appropriate for what you did? What are the consequences?
Yeah.
There should be no tolerance to bullying. There is no reason for anybody to pick on somebody else. There is no good reason for that. None. None. No, and there never is. It talks about being equal. That's respect for yourself and other people. Respect. We want respect. I want to be respected. Everybody wants to be respected. But if we don't respect ourselves and we don't respect other people, we're not going to be respected. Take responsibility. If you do something wrong, you are responsible for it. It's not somebody else's problem. It's not somebody else that should take the consequence. You should take your consequences. You be responsible for your actions. If you have any problems, you have teachers, you have staff members that can talk to you. Remember to keep pace. Remember I talked about this? We're going to talk about pace tomorrow too. Positive attitude changes everything.
That's my phone.
Finish off. With a little surprise for you at the end here. Remember tomorrow, I'm going to give you some paperwork here today. One of the things I want you just to jot down or talk about, we can talk about tomorrow. Put your first name and your last initial on the top of it. We're going to talk about that $5 bill tomorrow too.
Zaid.
Not me. Can't wait until tomorrow. Okay, $5.
Do you know if this happens tomorrow?
Yeah, Bob.
Well, we're gonna watch it.
Not him.
There's AT&T. Yeah. Oh crap, she's locked in. Yeah, that's what I do.
Oh.
What do you think about
This is a commercial.
We can sue.
Yes, they're called ads.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Bullying just is not acceptable anymore. There's always somebody
It's like this white.
tell somebody, don't just sit there and get the help you need.
do it all the time. Why do we do that? Why do I do that? Why do you do that?
Don't know.
A movie about the girl on the internet and going texting somebody. It's a guy and go meet him. I've seen it a lot on
Sometimes when
TV.
they text and they meet them, sometimes they're never heard from again.
Yep.
It disappeared. You might have saw on the news 3 girls minding their own business. 10 years they were kept captive.
Yeah, I saw that.
I saw it too.
It can happen to anyone. That's why we got to think about the stuff that we put on and the stuff that we do. Because it can come back and bother us and get to us. If you have a cell phone, if you can put it away right now.
Okay.